3 years after Justin went on his business trip, his sleeping posture changed when he came back. The man who used to always like sleeping flat on his back had now grown used to wrapping his arms around my waist from behind, holding on all night without letting go. That day, when he clung to me again, I suddenly asked, "Who made you develop this habit?" After a moment of silence, Justin sighed in the darkness. "Emma, if you pretend not to know, you'll still be my wife, but now that I knew, I no longer wanted to be your wife either." Chapter 1. The arm around me was suddenly withdrawn. Justin unhurriedly turned over, got out of bed, and opened the window on the balcony. "Emma, when there are some things I don't say, it means I don't want you to know. If you had any sense, you shouldn't have asked that question just now. How do you want me to answer you?" The scarlet glow between the man's fingers flickered on and off. The words he spoke were cruel and heartless. "Helen is different from other girls. If you pretend not to know, she will never come in front of you and bother you." Justin stubbed out the remaining half of the cigarette in his hand. He turned sideways and looked over. There was no panic or guilt on his face after being exposed by me. He was waiting for my answer. He thought that since he had already made a concession, I should follow the way out he had given me, that I should stop making trouble for no reason. I met his gaze and laughed bitterly a few times in the darkness. "Justin, what if I don't agree? This time, I'll give you a chance. Her or me. Choose for yourself." When a man could discuss another woman outside with his wife as if it were only natural, there was no longer any need for that marriage to continue. But I wasn't willing to accept it. I had waited for him bitterly for 3 years, full of expectation, yet he had spent those 3 years fooling around outside with that Helen he mentioned. If I left now, I would simply be making room for them. I wasn't that stupid, actually. As early as the first night Justin came back from his business trip, I had already noticed something unusual. What kind of man needed to shower from head to toe every day before coming home? He could wash away the scent of a woman's perfume clinging to him, but he forgot to switch out the woman's body wash. On the balcony, Justin silently turned his head back, irritated. He lit another cigarette. By the moonlight, I could even clearly see the struggle and difficulty on his face. The tears I had been holding back still fell. My heart clenched violently into a knot. I really wanted to rush over and ask him one thing. Why had he changed? This morning, when I saw that girl's information, I had already felt it. This time, Justin seemed to have truly fallen for her. He paid to start a company for the girl's younger brother. He built a house for the girl's parents back in her hometown. The man who hadn't come back to see me once in 3 years had even flown back overnight on the day of the girl's parents' 60th birthday. As their son-in-law, more and more tears streamed down my face, blurring the man before me. The figure who hurried over pulled me tightly into his arms. There was a trace of tenderness and pity in it. "Emma, you've calculated perfectly that I still love you. You can always make my heart soften. Give me some time. I'll break up with her." The embrace still carried a familiar feeling, but I knew the Justin who once loved only me could never be found again. Chapter 2. After everything was laid bare, Justin consciously took his pillow and blanket and moved to the guest room. When I went to the kitchen for water in the early morning, I saw that the light in Justin's room was wide open. He was leaning against the headboard, looking at a video call on his phone with a doting expression. The girl inside was lively and well-behaved, acting spoiled in a little fit of anger. "How could you tell her about me? What if she comes looking for trouble with me? Won't I get bullied?" Justin laughed slowly. The joy in his eyes was almost impossible to hide. "So useless. With me protecting you, who would dare bully you?" After a pause, a flash of pain crossed Justin's face. He remembered the promise he had made to me tonight. This beautiful moment wouldn't last much longer. "Helen, come to my house tomorrow. I want to eat the breakfast you make with your own hands." The woman let out a surprised awe. She sounded a little coy, yet also pleasantly surprised. "Justin, doesn't your home already have breakfast? You're just deliberately trying to make trouble for me, aren't you? And if I go to your house, won't she see me? I'm so scared of her." I dug my nails hard into my palm. I no longer had the courage to keep listening to what came after. As I left, I only saw Justin's relaxed brows and the blanket pulled over his head. Like a pure-hearted young boy, He happily kicked his legs a few times. The light in the room next door stayed on all night, and I leaned against the headboard in a daze all night too. I couldn't help thinking, was it really worth staking my own life just to keep Justin and that woman from getting what they wanted? Watching him show affection to another woman, how many more times would I have to experience it before I stopped feeling pain? The creak of a door opening sounded clearly in my ears. The man paused for a few seconds in front of my door. Then, without the slightest reluctance, he went downstairs. According to their agreement, the girl who had moved Justin's heart was coming this morning to bring him breakfast. Actually, I had no reason to meet her, but by the time I came back to my senses, I was already standing at the staircase in my pajamas. A sleepless night had left my face haggard, and the girl tightly embracing Justin was lively and adorable, every part of her revealing an innocent look. The girl saw me. She let out an awe, then hid behind Justin dependently like a startled little animal. The man turned around, and the guarded look in his eyes gradually turned cold. Emma, this is Helen. You two will have to meet sooner or later. I'll introduce you today. Chapter 3. At this moment, I suddenly became uncertain. I wasn't sure whether questioning Justin yesterday had been right or wrong. If I hadn't exposed his ugliness, would things really have been as he said? Would this girl before me never have let me know? Then in this home that belonged only to the two of us, Justin would still pretend to be the husband who loved me, and we would still maintain a happy family. My silence made Justin mistakenly think I was trying to intimidate the girl. He ignored me and openly held the girl's hand as they walked to the dining table. Bits and pieces of conversation drifted over. Is she angry? It's all your fault. You keep making me come to your house. Now she'll look down on me even more. She'll definitely think I'm just like those women outside. I didn't know how Justin coaxed her. Within a few seconds, the girl laughed through her tears, and her soft, delicate laughter echoed through the living room. Helen took a heated sandwich and walked to the staircase. I had also just happened to be heading to the kitchen to find something to eat. This was my home. If they weren't ashamed, why should I hide from them? But before I could even step onto the last stair, the girl fell backward onto the floor. The dining table was in a visual blind spot. Justin hadn't seen how Helen fell, but his first reaction was to assume I had pushed his girl. Emma, I already agreed to your request, and you're still bullying her. The man held Helen, who was crying in his arms. He looked at me with disappointment. Helen didn't do anything. Can't you tolerate her at all? Emma, you weren't this petty before. So this was what it felt like to be hurt by someone you loved. The bitterness in my heart almost buried me. Without blinking, I stared at the blame in Justin's eyes. I desperately memorized this feeling, wanting to use the fastest possible time to carve him out of my heart. Maybe because Justin and I stared at each other for too long. The man was the first to look away uneasily. He finally noticed the tears glistening in my eyes, and his voice gained a trace of helplessness. Emma, I didn't mean to blame you. It's just that Helen is physically weak. I took care of her for a long time before she finally became as healthy as she is now. I can't bear to see her get hurt. I was just anxious for a moment. Don't cry. I didn't push her. I took a step back, avoiding his outstretched hand. That hand had just touched another woman. I found it dirty. The casual disbelief on Justin's face was caught by me, holding back the dense, needle-like pain in my chest. I looked at him firmly once again. Justin, you still don't trust me. I said I didn't push her. Apologize to me. Chapter 4. Once. Any casual sentence I said, whether it was true or false, even if I said I could pluck the stars and moon from the sky, Justin would always believe me unconditionally, without needing a reason. But now, even after I emphasized it again and again, all it did was make him hesitate for a few seconds. Very soon, that hesitation was drawn away by Helen in his arms. Justin, I fell on my own. I really wasn't frightened by her. Don't take your anger out on her just because you're worried about me. Every time she mentioned me, Helen always used the word her instead, as if I were the one who couldn't be seen in the light. And Justin clearly knew that referring to someone like that was impolite. Yet he had never corrected her. I carefully looked over the girl in front of me, the one called Helen. It seemed she was not as innocent as she appeared on the surface. Miss Helen, are you very afraid of me? Or should I say, have you done something guilty? So you get scared the moment you see me? My questioning made Helen, who was pressed tightly against Justin, begin sobbing softly again. Justin, I want to leave. I'll never come here again. Take me away. When the man frowned at me again, I hysterically shouted at him, Justin, you clearly know that the relationship between you two is shameful. You clearly know that she interfered in someone else's marriage and has a guilty conscience. Yet you still insisted on bringing her in front of me. What exactly are you thinking? Are you punishing me because I forced you to make a choice yesterday? So this is your hatred for me, your resentment toward me, your revenge on me? The man forced down his anger and did not flare up. He didn't want to hear the girl in his heart described so unbearably. Yet he also had no way to refute what I had just said, because Justin knew very clearly that, in front of me, his legal wife, the relationship between him and Helen was one that people would despise and curse. With a gloomy, cold face, Justin suddenly stomped his feet several times as if venting, then waved his sleeve and left. Just as he reached the door, the housekeeper handed Justin's tie to me. She winked at me. Madam, before, you tied Sir's tie every day before he went to work. Hurry and go. The housekeeper was strong and pushed me forward. Justin also remembered the beautiful moments we once had, and his expression softened slightly. There was even a trace of expectation and excitement in it. Hurry over. I'm rushing to work. Clutching the tie I had once spent 3 hours walking through the mall to carefully choose and buy. I did not step forward. Justin's body had long since been covered in a scent that did not belong to him. Every part of him was telling me. The fact that he had cheated during our marriage. The man, who still had his head slightly lowered nearby, waited for a long time before finally raising his head. He saw through my thoughts. After all, the disgust and disdain on my face were not hidden at all. He snatched the thing from my hand. Then he let Helen naturally and skillfully stand on tiptoe to tie it for him. Afterward, he planted a deep kiss on the corner of her lips. The moment a silver thread stretched between them. He cast me a cold glance as if acting out of spite. Emma, I gave you a chance. You were the one who didn't cherish it. Chapter 5. After that day, Justin introduced Helen, who had been by his side for 3 years, to everyone. At the company, Helen was the secretary with her own independent office. Outside, Helen was the only female companion who could link arms with Justin and attend banquets, in front of his childhood friends and brothers. Helen was the little sister-in-law whom everyone respected and did not dare tease with improper words. Within a few days, everyone in Haiching's social circle knew that Justin had a woman he cherished in the palm of his hand. Friends also came to ask whether we were getting divorced. But this news was soon denied by Justin in person, and I heard it with my own ears. That day, at a friend's birthday banquet, Justin didn't notify me. He went there with Helen. They had just finished greeting everyone when I arrived alone right after them. Our mutual friend felt somewhat indignant on my behalf. Justin, for an occasion like today, you should have come with Emma. Don't forget that she is your real wife. Justin was still angry. He looked over with a cold face. Only then did he finally notice that everyone around him was paired up, and only I had been left alone. An indescribable ache twisted hard in his heart. Justin regretted it. He abandoned Helen beside him and forcefully pulled me into his arms. Emma, only I'm willing to indulge the stubborn temper of yours. I couldn't stand watching the two of them live carefree and happy days. So I had to do something. So I endured the disgust and did not break free. When we passed by Helen, who had failed to keep Justin by her side, I even changed from my usual weakness and let out a soft laugh. The man heard it too, and in satisfaction, he lightly scraped the tip of my nose. That's more like it. She's only a woman who happens to suit my taste fairly well. Why do you keep competing with her? His lips moved closer in an extremely ambiguous way, landing on the corner of my mouth. Tonight, I'll go back. Halfway through the banquet, I had someone use Justin's name to lure Helen over. Then I made an excuse and went to the restroom. Chapter 6. The door was left slightly ajar. Justin was clearly drunk, leaning back on the sofa with his head tilted up as he listened to a friend ask curiously, Justin, I feel like you've changed a lot. In the past, you couldn't bear to let Emma suffer even the slightest grievance. You're not serious this time, are you? Anyway, no matter how much you dote on Helen, you can't really abandon Emma. Otherwise, we friends won't agree to it. His tightly closed eyes slowly opened. The woman at the door nervously swallowed several times in a row. No, Helen has been with me for 3 years, so I do have some feelings for her, but not to the point where it affects my feelings for Emma. I'm just angry with Emma. Behind my back, she got back in touch with her family again. Her family once humiliated me like that. Why can't she think more about me? These friends knew best about all the hardships Justin and I had gone through to be together. Someone patted his shoulder and comforted him. You should try to understand Emma too. Back then, in order to marry you, she left home in anger. It wasn't easy for her either. Maybe Helen's existence made her feel uncomfortable, so she wanted to complain a little to her family. Justin remembered the humiliation Emma's family had given him back then, and rage burned in his chest. He slapped away the hand resting on his shoulder. Then he snorted coldly. She already has me. Am I not good enough for her? And I've already agreed that after some time, I'll break up with Helen. What else does she want me to do? Helen, who had overheard everything, tightly covered her mouth, the corners of her eyes slightly red, just as she was about to leave quietly. She saw me standing behind her at some unknown point. The corners of my lips lifted slightly, with the composure of the lawful wife. I looked down at her. Do you know why I didn't make a move against you that day when you came to my home to provoke me and show off? It wasn't because I was afraid of you, nor because Justin was protecting you. It was only because, to me, you were no longer a real threat. Helen was enraged by me. She gritted her teeth and glared at me. Her vicious gaze looked as if it wanted to tear me apart completely. But the angrier she became, the more pleased I was. When you two separate, Justin won't give you another cent. The cards in your hand and the house you're living in now are marital property belonging to us as husband and wife. I'll take them back. As for the things he gave your parents and younger brother, I'll be merciful and treat them as your compensation for taking care of Justin for 3 years. I shook my hand. Like a victor, I held my head high and pushed past her. Then I pushed the door open and walked in. Chapter 7. In the end, Justin still did not go home with me, because we were almost at the entrance of the residential complex, when Helen's 39th phone call was finally answered by him. On the other end of the phone, Helen kept crying. Justin, I don't know where I lost my keys. There's also a man in the hallway who keeps talking to me. I'm scared. I know you're with her, and I don't want to disturb you two either. Just call a delivery runner and have him bring me the keys. Ah, don't come near me. Along with Helen's terrified scream, the call was abruptly cut off. Justin's face turned pale with anxiety. He instantly stood up, at a loss. He wanted to rush forward and snatch the steering wheel from the driver. Turn around now. Helen is in danger. Justin could treat his own life as nothing, but I couldn't. I quickly instructed the driver to pull over, thoughtfully. Before the man could even tell me to get out, I had already gotten out of the car. Justin was so moved by my consideration that tears welled up in his eyes. Emma, don't worry. After this time, I won't let you suffer even the slightest grievance again. Half an hour later, I received the photos sent by the private investigator. The two of them had impatiently embraced each other in the stairwell, unable to control themselves. They had stripped off all their clothes. After just one glance, I had someone print out those photos. Then I asked the private investigator to place an envelope at Helen's door the next morning. Hearing the knock on the door, the woman casually grabbed the white shirt Justin had thrown on the floor and saw the photos I had carefully prepared for her. Inside were also photos of her and Justin taken 3 years ago when they first got together. Thinking of what she had overheard last night, Helen, staking everything on one desperate move, uploaded those photos to the internet. Back then, Justin and I had a hidden marriage. Apart from close friends around us, very few people knew. Helen, meanwhile, was an influencer who mainly showed off wealth and had over 100,000 followers. The news that she was dating the soon-to-be heir of a wealthy family instantly shot to the trending list. Justin, who had been exhausted from the night before, only found out about this after receiving a call from the old man of the family. My family was especially protective, and I was the only girl in the family. Justin's family was afraid that the group of lunatics in my family would come looking for trouble. Justin instantly sobered up too. When he was with Helen, he never allowed her to take photos. These definitely hadn't been posted by her. Naturally, Justin thought of me, furious. He rushed back home to demand an explanation. Chapter 8. The dozen or so pots of precious flowers and plants on the balcony were all smashed by him. Even after Justin finished smashing them, his anger still hadn't eased. He rushed into my dressing room again and swept all my makeup products to the floor, because the person he hated most had caused him to be scolded by the old man. This was what Justin could not tolerate most. Emma, do you hate me that much? So much that you'd use every dirty trick possible to destroy me? If you wanted Helen to leave, all you had to do was tell me. Would I really abandon you for her? Was it necessary to scheme against me like this? He threw the phone hard, and it smashed against my bare calf. It hit the bone, sending a piercing pain through me. Justin coming back and losing his temper at me was indeed beyond my expectations. I thought that after the photos were exposed, he would come back guiltily and discuss with me how to resolve it. But I never expected that he would think I was the one who released those photos. If Justin had looked just one more time, he would have seen the previous video from that account. It was a censored video Helen had recorded last night while he was sound asleep. He only needed one glance to recognize it. Everything was almost over, yet Justin could still rely on his own ability to hurt me one more time. I laughed until tears came out. When I finally laughed enough, I calmly picked up the phone he had thrown on the floor, opened the profile picture, and shoved it in Justin's face. Look carefully. Who exactly is the person who harmed you? According to you? The man's gloomy face swept over at once, and he froze stiffly. The righteousness he had just shown vanished completely. The further he scrolled down, the deeper the remorse on his face became. I didn't know. I didn't look carefully. Emma, forgive me. Justin was truly afraid now. He looked at the mess all over the floor, at the flowers and plants I had carefully cared for over 2 years crushed under his feet. A clear tear slid down his face. When I drove him out, Justin stood silently at the door and slapped himself 10 times. Chapter 9. Helen, having achieved her goal, was currently in a very good mood. Shopping wildly at the mall, after being called back by Justin, she clung to him as she usually did when acting spoiled, pouting her red lips and asking for a kiss. But Justin pushed her away. Helen wasn't afraid of him. She smiled and jumped toward him again. After several times, she finally made the furious man lose most of his temper. Afraid Helen would have no strength, he held her delicate hips with both hands and put on a serious face. Yet there was not a trace of coldness in his eyes. Were you the one behind the photos? Helen, have I treated you badly in any way? Why would you help outsiders go against me? It had not been easy for Justin, as an illegitimate son, to reach where he was today. He would not allow even the slightest wavering in his status within the family. Helen had not expected those photos to cause trouble for his work. She was also afraid he would blame her. Her trembling voice sounded as if she had suffered an enormous grievance. Justin, I didn't mean to cause you trouble. She cried like a child, her tears soaking the man's neck. They extinguished the last 3/10 of Justin's anger. However, he still did not speak to comfort her. Helen had been spoiled by him. She needed to learn a lesson. At the banquet that day, I heard you say that for her sake, you would break up with me after some time. My heart was shattered. I only wanted to record all the beautiful moments we once had and keep them for memories in the future. But I was too heartbroken that day, and my mind was a mess. I forgot to set it to private. By the time I found out, news of our relationship was already everywhere online. I was afraid of causing you more trouble, so I didn't dare do anything. The fragile body trembling against his chest made Justin's heart soften completely. He coaxed her softly. Baby, don't cry. I'm not blaming you. All right. It was my fault, okay? I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. Amid the man's apologies, Helen lifted a bright face with no tears on it at all, and smiled slyly. Chapter 10. Using the group's official account. Justin admitted to the news that he and Helen had been in a relationship for 3 years without informing me in advance. When I took my lawyer to the company to find Justin, Helen was surrounded by company employees, who were asking about her and Justin's wedding date. Seeing me, Helen gave me the same smile of a victor. I also smiled faintly at her. Today was my first time coming to Justin's company. No one knew me, especially when they saw me enter Justin's office without any appointment. They all whispered, guessing who I was. After seeing my smile, Helen became a little worried that I would interfere, and she bit her lip tightly. She wanted to follow me inside, but she was stopped outside by the assistant who had been by Justin's side for many years. "Miss Helen, the boss has instructed that you cannot go in." Seeing that the woman was unhappy, the assistant continued, "The pigeon egg diamond ring you liked yesterday has already been brought over by the staff at the boss's instruction. They're waiting for you in the meeting room to try it on. The wedding dress designer is also waiting for you inside the office." Justin froze slightly for a moment when he saw the lawyer beside me. 1 hour ago. I pretended to be very angry and sent him a message questioning what that statement meant. The next second, Justin's call came through. He was incoherent, very afraid I would be hurt, and anxiously tried to explain. "Emma, listen to me first. Things aren't what you think." I had no patience to listen to him finish. I interrupted him coldly. "I'll go to the company to find you. Let's talk face to face." At this moment, my retained lawyer had already placed the prepared divorce agreement in front of Justin. The man's voice trembled as he looked at me with red eyes in disbelief and asked, "Emma, you want to divorce me? What right do you have to divorce me? When we got married, didn't we say we would be together in life and death, never separating forever?" Looking at Justin, who was putting on such a disgusting act, I was momentarily dazed. Back then, why had I chosen to marry him without hesitation? What part of him had I ever taken a liking to? There was no need for me to speak. The lawyer gave a professional smile. "Sir, according to the information we currently have, you were the one who first wanted to divorce Miss Emma. Miss Emma is merely bringing it up in advance according to your wishes." Chapter 11. Justin's pained expression froze. He instinctively avoided my gaze, and his face instantly turned pale. "Emma, I don't really want to divorce you. It's just for show to the outside world." Justin nervously grabbed my hand. He kept asking me to understand his reasons and be considerate of his difficulties. "Right now, the outside world thinks Helen and I are together. If I deny it at this point, those netizens will never believe it. Emma, only you know how hard it was for me to get to where I am today. The group won't allow a scandal to appear in the family. I can only wrong you and have you fake divorce me for a while. Once this matter fades, we'll remarry." The more Justin spoke, the more reasonable he thought it sounded. He comforted me with full confidence. "But don't worry, although I'll hold a wedding with Helen, it's all for outsiders to see. In my heart, my wife is still you." I couldn't help letting out a sneer. The mockery in my eyes made Justin feel slightly embarrassed. He also knew that this matter was indeed unfair to me. He gritted his teeth and made a promise. "Give me 1 year. I'll definitely divorce Helen. After that, I won't see her again. Emma, you'll help me, right?" I didn't know where Justin got the confidence to think I would agree to this, but I actually did agree. The moment I nodded, Justin was like a child who had gotten his favorite toy. He hugged my waist tightly and happily spun me around several times. "However, I have conditions." Justin had solved one troublesome matter and persuaded me to agree. He was in an excellent mood. "We can divorce, but I want all the liquid cash you have." The man looked over in confusion. I hardened my heart and pinched myself, making my eyes turn slightly red. "I'm afraid you'll fall in love with Helen and then stop wanting me. I want to give myself some peace of mind." Justin clearly breathed a sigh of relief and held me tenderly again. "Emma, why do you always love me so much? Don't cry. I agree. Even if you wanted my life, I'd agree. Your life wasn't worth anything. What use would I have for it?" Chapter 12. After divorcing Justin, I began completely moving out of his house. This was also something Justin had specifically mentioned to me on the day we came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. He said Helen had been to the house once and liked the surrounding environment very much, so he wanted to use that place as their marital home. Even if he hadn't said it, I would have moved out anyway. We were already divorced, and I already had so much money. Who would still want to live in his house? However, I thought Justin probably wouldn't be able to live there for long either. "All right, I'll move out when I go back." Actually, there wasn't much to move. I didn't plan to take anything from that house, but I also wouldn't leave things behind for others to enjoy for free. When Justin returned home, he was shocked to see the almost completely empty villa. He asked the housekeeper, "Where's Emma? What is all this?" The housekeeper caught sight of the dense red marks on the man's neck and rolled her eyes disdainfully. Miss Emma has left. These things were all bought with her money when she got married. She said she wouldn't leave them for others to take advantage of. Hearing this, Justin thought I was jealous of Helen. While tiredly rubbing his temples, he shook his head and gave a light laugh. "Ah, she has indeed been wronged this time. It's not like I can really hold it against her." The man turned and was about to go upstairs. The housekeeper took off her apron and took out the suitcase she had already prepared. "Sir, starting tomorrow, I won't be coming to work anymore. Miss Emma has hired me to work at her home." Justin didn't think much of it. Once he married Helen and brought her home, he would definitely hire new people anyway. He nodded absent-mindedly. "That's fine. With you taking care of her, I'll feel more at ease too." Chapter 13. Ever since divorcing Emma, Justin no longer liked staying overnight at Helen's place. No matter how late it was, no matter how tired he was, he would always pick up the clothes on the floor and drive home. Every time he came back, the house was pitch black, but Justin didn't know what madness had possessed him. He wouldn't turn on the lights. He just liked sitting alone in the bedroom he had shared with Emma, keeping his eyes open until dawn. These past few days, Justin had heard some news. Emma had gone back to her maiden family after all. At first, he was angry. Emma clearly knew how her parents had humiliated him when he proposed back then. She knew how her older brother had punched him in the face again and again. They had said, "Justin, you're an illegitimate son that even your own family doesn't want. How dare you ask to marry our family's precious daughter? You're truly a toad lusting after swan meat." Justin had knelt at the door, silently lowering his head. Hatred burned in his heart. In his more than 20 years of life, he had already suffered enough humiliation. His father's legal wife, his half-siblings, and those distant relatives in the family who looked down on him, had all left hatred in his heart. But none of them had humiliated him as strongly as Emma's family had. But what could he do? Back then, Justin had approached Emma step by step, won her favor step by step, and hinted step by step that Emma's family should help him. Without Emma, he would still be an outsider whose name had not been entered into the family genealogy. When one needed something from others, one always had to lower one's head. Besides, he had truly fallen for Emma. She was too wonderful, or rather, she had been protected too well by her family and had never seen how sinister people's hearts could be. Justin truly wanted to marry her, but Emma's family refused no matter what. They said that even if they let Emma marry some poor boy from the countryside, they would never agree to let her marry Justin, who was full of schemes and plots. Fortunately, under his repeated displays of weakness, Emma still chose him. She broke with her family. On the day they got married, Justin deliberately refused to give Emma a wedding in order to spite her family. He told her that his career was currently on the rise. He wanted to put all his energy into work. When he gained a firm foothold, when he received recognition, he would marry her back in a grand and glorious way. Chapter 14. 3 years ago, there was a business trip. None of the family members who couldn't endure hardship were willing to go, so the opportunity fell to Justin. He also knew the environment there was difficult, but once the branch company began operating successfully, he would have a voice in the family. He had to go. But unexpectedly, Emma actually proposed going with him. She had been raised so delicately, yet she was willing to suffer alongside him. Justin didn't know how to describe what he felt at that time. There was someone in this world who was willing to give up everything for him. It wasn't that he wasn't moved. That night, they were the most intimate of lovers, and the Emma of that night was also the only woman in this world whom Justin had truly placed in his heart. The day he got involved with Helen, he developed a high fever. It climbed to 40 degrees, so high that he could no longer recognize people clearly. The medicine there was incomplete, and the medical care was poor. He burned with fever for an entire day, yet his temperature still wouldn't come down. In the end, Helen soaked her entire body in ice water, and used her body again and again to cool him down. Having touched that girl, Justin was a man, so he had to take responsibility. The foreign country was too far away, so far that his love for Emma gradually faded too. Their daily calls went from an hour at first, to half an hour, 10 minutes, 1 minute, and later, He could go several days without contacting her. Emma must have noticed Justin's perfunctory attitude toward her too. She suggested coming abroad to accompany him, but even after her plane had landed, Justin sent her back to the airport. He didn't want her to know of Helen's existence. Not to protect Helen, it was because Justin didn't want to see any sadness on Emma's face. After all, he still loved her. Originally, after returning to the country, he had planned to give Helen a sum of money and make her leave. But when he found out that not long after he had gone abroad, Emma had already reconciled with her maiden family, he snorted. In the end, family was still family. Even after marrying him, Justin was not first in her heart, since Emma no longer cared about him. Why should he hurt Helen, who loved him deeply? For her? The matter with the photos. Choosing to divorce Emma was not the only way to solve it. But under family pressure, he had no choice but to compromise. Over the past few years, Emma's family had secretly caused his family quite a bit of trouble since they couldn't beat them in business. They had to get back at them elsewhere, didn't they? Justin agreed for his own selfish reasons too. He wanted Emma to know that he, Justin, could also abandon her if she had any sense. She should put her husband first. Since she had already chosen him, she shouldn't keep in contact with her maiden family anymore. He would treat her well. Chapter 15. In the end, Justin still failed to marry Helen, because the day before their wedding, someone exposed that Justin had committed serious illegal and criminal acts during those 3 years abroad. In order to expand his power within the family, Justin had grown somewhat fearless. The family removed Justin from the family genealogy overnight and quickly drew a clear line between themselves and him. They also took back all the assets under Justin's control. His family members were promiscuous, but they were also smart. For illegitimate children brought back from outside, they had a family rule. That was, once the family reputation was involved, all money and property in the illegitimate child's hands would be taken back. The house Helen was currently living in belonged to Justin, so naturally, she was driven out. All the money on her cards was also taken back, and she was implicated by Justin as well. Her accounts on all platforms were banned, and she could only slink back to her hometown in disgrace. After Justin went to prison, he had someone pass on a message, saying he wanted to see me one more time. I went. The moment he saw me, Justin shed tears of emotion. Emma, thank you. I knew it. Only you truly loved me. He wanted to thank me for not exposing his marital infidelity and making things even worse for him. I looked at him quietly for a while. Then suddenly, I smiled. Justin, those photos were sent to Helen by me, in the man's gaze, which looked as if it was about to shatter. I stood up and walked out. My voice sounded behind me. I didn't go that far only because I didn't want to implicate my own reputation. It had nothing to do with you.